Madam Chair, you are live.
Evening, everyone, and welcome to the Arts and Public Places meeting with the City of Annapolis on November 29th, 2022. We are calling to order at 7:01 p.m. Secretary Joe Lucchesi, could you please do a roll call?
Yes. Genevieve.
Here.
Joe here. David.
Here.
Jim.
Here.
Barbara.
Here.
Krissa.
Here.
And Cynthia.
Here.
And Lynn is not.
Yeah, Lynn has a scheduled conflict tonight, so she will not be attending. Before we do the approval of the agenda, I'd like to make a motion that we move the officers' election up to the beginning. It's generally how we do it during the meetings. And apologies that I didn't catch it when the agenda went out, but do I have a second on the motion?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Joe. So we will adjust the agenda as so, and we'll submit it to the city that we did it first.
Do we have to vote on that?
Yes, we do actually. Go ahead and do a roll call.
Can we do it on voice vote? Just
We
all
can
say
do it
aye.
on voice vote,
Yeah.
unless anybody is opposed. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Anyone opposed?
Aye.
Got it. Okay. So we'll move that up after the minutes. Okay. So with the adjustment, do I have a motion to approve the agenda for November 29th, 2022?
So
This is
moved.
David, I'll make a motion to approve.
I
the
make a
agenda.
motion.
Okay. Got a motion and
I
a second.
second it.
Got it.
Thank you, everyone. Do we have a motion to approve the October 25th, 2022 minutes that were sent out?
I make a motion to approve.
Do I have a
Second.
second? Thank you. All those in favor say aye, please.
Aye.
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 Anybody, anyone opposed? Okay. All right, well, that leads us to the Arts and Public Places Officers election. Currently, chair is held by Genevieve Torrey, myself, and vice chair is David Arthur, and secretary is Joe Lucchesi. Do we have any nominations to change the administrative board?
I nominate Jim Martin for chair.
Thank you, Cynthia. That's very nice of you, but I do not choose to be chair at this time. I'll wait for Genevieve to retire.
Okay, can we note that Jim refused the nomination, please, Joe?
Mhm. Nomination declined.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. That's the right word.
Anything else? If not, I guess we could have a motion just to approve the whole executive administrative team as a whole. I can't make the motion though. Or we can do them individually if everybody would like.
I make the motion or second it, whichever you need.
It would be a motion first.
Okay. I make the motion to approve. I'll second it.
Okay. Let's do a roll call, Joe, please, on this. And we can clarify, the motion is to approve the administrative team as it is been elected before in the previous year.
Okay. David.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Barbara.
Aye.
Krissa.
Aye.
Cynthia.
No,
Genevieve.
Aye.
And Joe. Aye. Motion passes.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Now we can go into old business. I will lead into Barbara with any poet laureate updates.
Thanks, Genevieve. It's been a quiet month, so I have nothing new to report.
That's kind of good. I know you're super busy. If anybody wants the social media for the Poet Laureate, you can find it through the website page on the city page, as well as I'll post it again tonight on the Arts and Public Places Facebook page. You can keep up with her, with Maggie, and everything that she's doing on there. She does have an Instagram page as well. So
Yeah, actually, her Instagram page is probably the most current.
yes, yeah, I agree. Occasionally she pops into our Poet Laureate page on Facebook, but
Yes.
yeah, awesome.
Oh, and also just to let you know, Genevieve, I'm working to get that website more current, because I think we talked about it before. I'd made some suggestions to Ina, but they were not done. So I'll do that between now and our next meeting.
Awesome. And I'll lead in with that since we're talking about it, that the city is updating the whole website, and our page is going to get a fresh new look. I was going to have Ina come this month, but we're actually, after talking to the city, I'll have her come in January. They're hoping to go live with all of the new updates in December. So Ina was more than happy to come join us at the meeting and walk us through how to find everything on the website, especially our page and our minutes and our agenda and all that good stuff, the yearly reports. So that is something that will be happening after the first year. Thank you, Barbara, for the Poet Laureate update.
Thank you.
You're welcome. As well as for gallery updates, we have art that is currently installed at both the City Hall and the Pip Moyer Gallery. Audrey Lee will be joining us next month. She will have the first 6 months of 2023. Sorry, my fiscal years are making me go forward. 2023 set up, and she will present them to us for review, and we'll get to vote on what she has scheduled and whether we approve or disapprove, or if we have any other suggestions for her, she'll take them from us at that time. So that's what I have for gallery updates. Anybody have anything else about Poet Laureate or gallery updates before I move on? So the proposed mural updates, I don't have any new proposed murals to share with anybody. In Ward 1, we did do a review of the Art Walk pieces that are out currently mostly in Ward 1. And the city went out and reviewed them. The report back to me from David Gerald, and I can send it out to everybody after tonight, that at this time they're not seeking to remove any of the pieces. They didn't see any immediate need, or that they would that they're failing with the installation. So we're trying to figure out where to go to from there, because those contracts are basically expired. So we need to talk to especially the private building owners who have pieces on their buildings, whether we renew the contracts, if they want to keep them there, how they want to move forward. So that's the next step in this process. But the city did say that if we decided to remove them, that it may be beyond the scope of the public works, and that we should hire somebody, a second contractor, to do that. So keep that in mind, because that would come from our cost, because part of the contract was that we would maintain and deal with the maintenance of it, the cost wise. Go ahead, Cynthia.
Why are we even discussing removing them when they've been extremely popular with the public?
Because the contracts are expired and they weren't renewed.
Why would we consider removing them if there's nothing wrong with them? And that we
Because-
would have to pay to have them removed?
Because the contracts are expired and they
Who
needed
are,
to be evaluated. We discussed
Who are
this in
the-
our last
who are-
meeting.
yeah, I know we did. Who are the contracts with? They're with the artists, or they're with the
Mm-mm.
building owners?
Well, it's an Art Walk contract originally that originated in 2007. And it was renewed 3 times for 3 years each. And they have been expired since then. So the main reason of evaluating them is to make sure that they're still in good condition, that they're not falling off the walls, that they're not going to harm somebody, that they're not going to deteriorate being hung there. And then we go from there deciding what we do with the contracts, because there is no contract.
Well, if
Technically-
David Gerald has approved them to be hung there, so why would we not renew them? They have been a win-win for the city. And they have been extremely popular. And I think there would be a lot of dissent from the public if there was discussion about them being removed. So we should just renew the contract. And also, we should make sure we have any recusals from people who may be owners of specific buildings that are being referred to.
I don't think anybody on the Arts and Public Places Commission owns any of the buildings that the art is installed on, but I could be wrong. You guys could correct me on that, but I didn't say they were being removed. They were examined to see if they needed removal. And as I said, at this time, nothing presented itself as being a liability to the city, because if it did fall off, and if it did harm property or hurt somebody, we would be liable for that. That's how the contract that has expired states it. So we are in charge of the maintenance and upkeep of these. So this is something that should have been happening. We've been talking about it for years, about going out and exploring and checking them to make sure that they're still in good condition. And that
Yes, and I met with David Gerald personally about this issue. So David Gerald is very aware and he has maintained them properly. So if they have been checked, then I make a motion that we approve these murals to continue, as they have been very popular for so many years and are still in very good shape. Why would we spend money to remove perfectly good pieces of art?
That's
Why?
not even, that's not even what was said. I'm not really sure this is the time to make a motion, but because the contracts have to be done with the private building owners. So we still need to have those conversations with them.
And who are these private building owners?
Every building besides the harbor master for the Art Walk pieces is on private property.
How many of them are there?
Can you list who they are?
Well, there's the Naval Academy. There's the which is Shore United, but used to be the Severn Bank. There are the buildings in the parking lot of Stan and Joe's. So all of those are not city property. And in order for us to continue to have art or install art on any property that is not city property, that is privately owned, we have to have a contract for that. So we would have to go through legal and make the connections and the communications with these buildings and talk to them, whether they want to keep the art on their buildings. And then if they say yes, then we can develop the contracts and we can bring them back here for approval. And then we can make motions on approving the contracts for another 3 years or whatever it is that the commission decides.
Who is on the murals? Cynthia, wait a minute. Cynthia, one moment. Who is on the murals committee?
So it's David and I currently.
Okay, so either of you probably needs to contact the building owners
Yes.
that we had a contract with and ask them if they would be interested in renewing the contract.
Exactly.
Then we would actually have something tangible to decide. But at
It's
this
correct.
point, we're talking about, we don't know, and maybe we should and maybe we shouldn't. I tend to agree with Cynthia. Until we have art to replace the art that's up, which I hope someday soon we do, but not getting into that, we should find out if the owners, and we should get a report at our next meeting that just says, I met with Joe McGovern at Stan and Joe's, and he said he'd be more than delighted to have it. I met with Brian Callahan. He doesn't want it on his building. I met, whatever the answer is, we
Yep.
would at least know that much. And then I think it would be appropriate to propose renewing the contract and see what happens. And if they don't choose to do it, we know then what we have to do. And Cynthia, I agree with you. I don't think it would be really great to take them down until we have either an idea what we can replace them with, or we've been told by the property owner they don't choose to have them anymore.
Agree. And the evaluation was that some of them could be removed and reinstalled elsewhere if we chose to. So it's not that we would, so if the private building owner said, I don't want it on my building anymore, take it off, please. We would take it and then we could install it somewhere else. So, or offer it back to the artist first if they have a better installation process.
So in addition to talking to those building owners that have art, the committee is going to talk to potential new sites and find out what they want to do.
Well, we wouldn't do that individually, but we would know probably by the next meeting or in January which building owners were willing to keep the art on their private properties and which ones wanted them removed. And then we could talk as a commission, where could we reinstall it? If it is an art piece that could be reinstalled.
This is Krista.
Go ahead, Krista.
This is Krista. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have a question. Is this something that legal could create or draw up some sort of letter for us or with us, advise us, get it sent out to the locations, and just do it kind of officially where they have to respond back to us if they want a certain action to be taken or what have you, or at least get the ball rolling on that? And
Yeah,
then is
so-
there a way to
yeah.
like make a motion to discuss this at one of the next meetings after David and you have a chance to do the outreach that needs to be done on this? And also my other question is, how many are on the list that we need to address? How many did you say? I think you might have mentioned that.
So it's the pieces on the art walk one, and I can send the link out to everybody again. But yes, so technically a letter would come
My
out.
thought was, do you need to have help with regard to this? Like, do you think you need other members?
Well,
of the
Department of
commission to help
Public
you with this,
Works,
or do you think you, David?
You're not going to get anywhere with David. I mean, he's fine, but
David Carroll, is that what
we should, well, no, I'm not.
No, David
I'm not worried about
Arthur.
him.
I'm
Okay.
I'm
speaking,
not worried about David Gerald, and I'm not talking about
I'm
David.
addressing,
I'm talking about David Gerald. I'm not worried
I was
about him.
talking about, I'm not talking about, well, that's great. That's great. My question to the chair is whether or not David Arthur and Genevieve feel that they need help or not on this issue, or do they think that they have it and can work with legal on it, do you think? Or do you all need extra help with it?
I wouldn't say that somebody couldn't join, the mural subcommittee if they wanted to. We've been letting Department of Public Works handle it, who is David Gerald. So the
Right.
letter, I assume the next step would be coming from Department of Public Works, created in conjunction
Okay.
with the legal department, to the private building owners saying that we've evaluated your pieces, they're still in good condition. However, the contract to display these pieces has been expired. So we would have to renew the contract. That contract would, define who's responsible for the art. If the art does fall off and causes damage to their building or other people, who holds the insurance on this. So that's the main point of having a contract, and making sure that it's not expired and that all parties are in agreement. So that moving forward would be the next step. And that's not something that we would generate. That would come
Okay.
from the city. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, so I just kind of want to
Okay.
tie this in a bow because it seems like it's kind of spiraling out of control. So basically, it's a two-phase approach. You and I will reach out to the private business owners and have a verbal conversation with them, saying, you have art, do you want it? Yes, no, maybe. And if they say yes, then we're good to go. And we'll create a contract and figure out how we maintain it throughout X amount of years. If they
Exactly.
say no, then we'll have to figure out how to get it removed and put somewhere else. In the meantime, we'll also get a letter together to make it official, to say that your piece of art is cool, it can stay or go, you have to decide. And then we figure, again, same thing, we figure it out after that. Is that essentially it? Sort of, I'm getting in, make sure I'm understanding.
That's the synopsis, yes.
Okay, there we go. Cool. All right. So we can
Yep.
kind of figure that out, and move on, correct?
Yes, we can.
Excellent
Thank you,
summary.
David.
Thank you,
Yep.
folks.
Yep.
Can I
That's
just-
exactly where I was going. So,
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank
And
you.
can I just say
Go
one
ahead.
more thing,
Yep.
kind of looking ahead? I mean, first of all, I appreciate all this legwork to kind of untangle the contract stuff, much less the condition reports. But it also, if we as a committee are financially responsible for their upkeep, I feel like that's a conversation in any planning moving forward. Is we have to kind of budget for that in the future. And from a collections management standpoint, that's like the super unsexy part of it. But the analogy would be, so if somebody wants to donate an artwork to me for this collection, part of what I build into it is the stewardship cost. It's not cost neutral to hang on to someone's painting for the next 100
Exactly.
years.
Yep.
So I don't, I'm not sure that we've really ever had that conversation or in that way, that how do we plan for, from our own budget, these longer term expenses, which I honestly didn't quite know that we were on the hook for.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
Joe,
we
I
still
brought
have
this
those
topic up.
contracts.
I brought this subject up many times when the budget came up. And I said, we should reserve a portion of the budget for maintenance costs.
That's good to
So
know.
right now we have 43 murals in downtown Annapolis. We're responsible for them. We need to set aside a chunk of our budget every year for maintenance costs.
So
We
we are
still haven't
actually,
really we haven't had a in-depth discussion about our budget. We should have a meeting dedicated to just budgetary issues, because we have a much larger budget, maintenance costs and all the other things, proportions, where it's going. We need to really be accountable for how our money is spent.
and I'm not in a disagreement with that, but however, we are not actually responsible for all 43 murals that are within the Annapolis city limits.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah.
No. And in fact,
we're
because-
not. And this is. Go ahead.
but it is something that we do need to discuss. So moving forward, what we would do is get bids. Whether DPW, which is Department of Public Works, was going to maintain these art pieces or remove them, we need a bid from them. Or if it's a contractor that we put an RFP out to, we need a bid from them. So we can build that into our budget moving forward, knowing that we may have to do this at some point. I mean, not all art stays there for forever. Eventually it can fail. So we need to be ready for that. And Cynthia is correct. She has talked about this before and appropriating funds for it. However,
I have two as well.
yes,
Yeah.
and Chris, and so it has just been
Yeah,
now
we,
that
one
we
of the
actually,
things.
hold on.
I-
It has just been now that we actually have a budget
Okay.
to actually pull funds and put them like in a maintenance, subcategory. So yes, this is a discussion moving forward that we definitely need to talk about. But however, we don't know what that number looks like at this point. We need to figure out what that number looks like. And that's the next step would be getting bids and figuring out what the cost is to maintain or remove, just so we can have the side money on the side and not zeroing out our budget every year. And we haven't done that. Even when Cynthia was chair, we didn't do that. We always made sure we held some funds for the next year to make sure that our programming went through. And that's what we've continued to do moving forward. Now we need to add maintenance onto that. And also any future art projects, especially with the RFP with the Westgate Circle, we need to remember that that's going to be a city-owned piece. We will be responsible for that. That's on city property. And any of the maintenance or anything that happens with that, we will be, if we write the contract that way, we will be held accountable for it. So these are all things moving forward that we definitely need to further have conversations about with the budget moving on, and how we hold funds and how we spend funds. So I'm in total agreement with that.
So just to correct the record,
Okay,
I
this is
did get
Krista,
I
and
got an
I think I-
estimate from Stuart White for his cost to upgrade his mural behind City Hall. I also, from Art Walk, I believe I've sent out recently Chuck Walsh's letter that gave all the details of all the Marion Warren photo murals. So I believe you all have that in your files, those two estimates and the information pertaining to all, the dates of installation, et cetera, et
Correct.
cetera.
And
So-
we do, yep, from the point of time that you had those conversations, but we will need updated bids from everything on that. And especially after the construction, we obviously cannot do anything with that mural while the parking garage is being newly constructed. So I think we are all in agreement that this is a work
Understood.
in progress, and we're moving forward with it, and we will definitely keep the conversation flowing. And we'll meet together as a commission to talk about budget and contracts and all that stuff. No decisions are being made without us. I'm only giving you the updates from Department of Public Works, which is great news, honestly, because these pieces have been on buildings since, late 2007, 2008, and they're still great and they're still there and people are able to enjoy them. And that was actually kind of shocking to me, because I was honestly scared that they were going to tell us that some of them had to be removed. And I was like, oh gosh, no, because everybody loves these pieces. So moving forward, I think it was great news, and it opens us up to, numerous possibilities. And we just need to have the communications now and figure out where we are with contracts. So
This
I'd
is
like to move
Krista.
on.
I just
if
want
we
to try to
could.
get one
Go ahead.
point across.
Okay,
I've been trying to interject.
Sorry.
Through the discussion, there was a comment. Can you hear me?
yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Hopefully you can. Okay. Through the discussion, there were some comments about maintenance. I just want to make a point that there's a difference between maintenance and conservation. And, these works, many of them are past work. Some of them are fairly current work. So there's a combination, as Genevieve has expressed. But we have been very cognizant to discuss conservation and upkeep with the new presentations that we've had on the commission going forward. So when we approve something, we do ask those questions and we do bring those concerns up. So it's not like, for the record, it's not like something that we haven't discussed and we haven't talked about. Maybe we need to do a deeper dive, and we can do that in 2023. But I'm glad we're having the discussion. Thank you, Genevieve, for bringing it up. And if you and David need help on this, let me know.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that.
Genevieve, do we have a list of all of those pieces of art that we are responsible for?
We could break it down as to what we actually have contracts of responsibility for. Obviously, anything that is on city property is our responsibility. If it's not on city property, and generally we would need a contract to put it on private property, because our code says that we can't without a contract, then we would have to refer to the contracts to understand whether the funding that we gave was for a contract that made us responsible for maintenance or not. A lot of
I didn't want to go that far. All I wanted to know is, do we have a list that tells us it's a mural and it's at this address or it's at this location?
we
And
do
so
have,
that I can go around and look at them. I'm not an artist. I'm not going to tell you what they are engineering wise. Joe would be better at that than me, and certainly David. But I thought it would be good to go around and just get a feel for what's there and look at it, and then give you a list of what I found about each piece of artwork. At least we would know if it's falling off the wall
right.
or it's not,
Yeah.
or
So there,
what condition it's in.
There is a list of all of the art in the city, and it is on our website. It is on the Arts and Public Places page. It does list every piece. However, not every piece is on city property. So
I understand that. I
yeah,
understand.
so not every
Okay.
piece we're responsible for, but there were some contracts for the pieces that are on city property that we can reference to, and a separate list can be made.
Okay, so
And
I'll
Jim,
look on
just
the
to,
website.
Jim,
Yes.
just to give you some history, we had a weekend retreat and we had drawn up a 5-year plan. One of the goals was to have an inventory done of all of the public art since the beginning of the commission. The point of the catalog is the inventory. If you look in the catalog, it will have the dates, whether it was funded by the commission. That was the whole point, to have an inventory. So you can use that as a guide. Obviously, there are newer pieces since that last edition came out, but that was the whole point of having that catalog and doing the research and really doing a deep dive into all of the public art in the city.
I know we hired a student, I believe, to put that together.
Yes, we did. We had a St. John's college student, very nice guy, Max, and he did a lot of the work on that. Also, some previous commissioners, Terry Peterson in particular, and of course, Ellen dedicated a huge amount of time and effort to that catalog that acts as an inventory.
I remember printing one of the early versions of it.
Thank you, Jim.
But thank you. And I'll pursue it. I'll look at the catalog and I'll see what I can do to get around town and check out these various monuments and murals and et cetera. But I think we constantly come back to the meeting and spar with confusing comments about everything. So I'll try to go through and sort it out a little bit, and I'll tell you what I think needs more attention and what we can blow off for the time being. But I do think that we do have a responsibility. I agree. I know of one piece on the side of Joe McGovern's property, Stan and Joe's, that's delaminating from the frame or the base. And we're lucky it won't fall off, but it may fall off if we don't attend to it. So that's just something we have to deal with.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a big deal.
Yep, I agree. We will revisit this and we'll keep everybody posted, and we'll move on to the next step. So
Okay.
I'd like
All
to
right.
move on to grant updates, please.
Really the only update is that I talked to my person at the State Arts Council, and it turns out that we are actually eligible to apply for State Arts Council funding for the Westgate Circle project. And so it's not urgent, it's not due, but they do also offer some the possibility of some like best practices feedback, and we can actually apply for the grant at various points in the process. So I'm going to try and talk to him again once the semester's over, and just get some more details about sort of what resources they offer and what the timing is of our eligibility and stuff like that. And so I can probably report on that again at our next meeting, but it's good there. I mean, he seems very open to this conversation. So
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that, reaching out. And the hope is that we have some sort of rough draft to present at the December meeting for all of us to discuss and figure out, what needs to come out, what needs to go back in, everything on the rough draft, and then send it to procurement in the city in January for another draft based off of the commission's responses in December. So.
Okay.
You've sent a draft to us already?
No. So what that is Joe sent out some other RFPs from different cities for us to look at and to review and to pull from, like things that we, think are pertain to what we're trying to do here in the city that we could use as a guideline. So there hasn't been a rough draft yet.
Yeah, that's as far as it went.
Yeah.
And a lot of that material came from the person at the State Arts Council. So
Yeah.
I just haven't had a chance to look at it closer at all.
I get it. Yeah. You're coming to the end of the semester though. So
Mhm.
December's coming fast.
Read those papers.
Thanks, Joe.
Has anybody pulled up the previous RFP that Bobby Donovan
Yes.
won that? Oh, so you do have that copy?
Yes,
Okay.
we do. Yep. Ashley did present it to us. So we do have that as a base format to work from. So I will
Can I ask a question?
real quick, Jim.
There's a lot of different papers floating around out there and I'm not sure I have very many of them. Is there a place where we can see these documents, or can we get a copy of the documents?
Well, Joe sent them in an email, but I mean, we could put everything into a Google Doc folder and just send the link to the folder if that works. If you can do it, if you can access it that way, Jim.
That would be great. That
okay.
would be great.
We can do that, and we can just start accumulating information in that folder to use as reference.
Yeah, because discussing them without having seen them is like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, you'll have to find Joe's email because they were some really good.
When was it?
Yeah, I might have just sent that to Genevieve actually, just
Mhm.
as a
Okay,
friend.
maybe.
I can't remember if you.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I never saw
I
it.
can't remember.
Okay.
But
I'll
I can
double
go back
check.
and look and forward or.
Sure.
send
Yeah,
it.
that would be great.
I'll figure it
That
out.
would be great. And don't go to any huge trouble. That would be helpful though to get started.
Okay.
But we could just
Oh,
put
I
it
said-
all
you
into
know
the
what?
folder.
I sent it to the grants subcommittee. That's what I did.
Uh,
So that's why.
I love it.
Hey, Genevieve.
Okay.
I
Yes,
think
David.
Karma actually set up a
Dropbox.
Google Dropbox for the FAA PPC as well.
Yeah, I actually, we have one. We have had
Yeah.
one for a long, long time. So, and most of us are on there as being able to have access. So I'll send the link out again so everybody has it fresh in a new email and they don't have to try to, find it, deep dive
Cool.
That'd be great.
their emails.
good.
So
Awesome.
And Joe, if you would just send your email, that would be great.
Will do.
thank you, Joe. Yeah, just send it out to
Mhm.
everybody so they can see the other examples from the other cities that the state
Yeah.
sent us. Yeah, that's awesome. Public outreach updates. So I sent everybody the minutes from the Art Charrette meeting that we hold with everybody in the city that has current programming in the city. So that includes county entities too as well. They don't necessarily have to be just within Annapolis, but they have programming in Annapolis. The minutes are very clear as to what the meeting is set up for and how the Arts Council and Maryland Hall and Visit Annapolis are moving forward with everything. The main, just a brief synopsis of what the Art Charrette is just to make sure that all of the art entities, which are many that do programming in our city, that we're all communicating with each other. We're all working together as a good wheelhouse. We're discussing our vision for the future in creating a 10-year arts plan for the city, because we've never been included in the comprehensive plan. It's always been development and housing and all the other things that mainly sustain the economic value of the city. But we got the city to recognize that the arts is an economic value for the city. And in order for us to be sustainable as an arts community and move forward and continue to be a draw, especially for visitors, like many other cities are across the country, that we need to find out what works for everybody currently and what isn't working and where we feel we're missing out on things. So the table comes together with everybody who's doing current programming. So it's the orchestra, all of our theater, Maryland Hall, and how we can work better as a wheelhouse. We're all doing great things as separate, gears all over the city. And we're putting our time and effort and money into these things. But the hope of the Arts Council is that we can all come together and we can combine our efforts, and we have one solid foundation for a calendar. And the Arts Council has the staff and the money to actually operate such an entity. And then the calendar can rest as well and live over at the Visit Annapolis page, because a lot of our tourism comes from Visit Annapolis. They know what's happening, the events and all that stuff. So it is just all of us trying to work together and make it as seamless as possible while supporting each other and helping to promote each other. And like, boat show weekend, what events artistically could we have in the city that would work well with boat show visitors? What is something when they're done at the boat show that they would want to go do? Making sure that programming happens that way during that time, having, us all on the same page as far as, and not like competing, having the same event, 2 different locations at the same time, polls the city, which is fine. We have, 40,000 plus people. So we've got plenty of people to go everywhere, plus the people who come into the city to see the events. But if we could make it more cohesive and play off of each other. So, like boat show can come for Sundays. Then after they're done, doing both of those things, where else do they go? Where else can we send them? What other events can we suggest to them? Do they go to, outdoor theater? Do they go to an orchestra event? Do they go to the ballet? Do they go to a gallery? That kind of stuff. So that's basically what our meetings are, is just talking and figuring out how to help each other and be communicative and just be a better working gear house together, as well as have inclusivity. We need to make sure that it's not just downtown that's getting promoted, that it's also, all the other wards, everything that's happening around the city. It's Banneker Douglas is showing up, on our schedules. It's making sure that Day of the Dead is on our programming, and our Latino Hispanic, community is represented because we have amazing artists from those communities as well. So it's a large group of love in the room of how we move forward and how we continue to be an arts progressive city.
Why
Cynthia.
didn't you share the date of the meeting until after the fact? And where are the minutes?
Cynthia, I sent it out to everybody. And the minutes.
I did not get a copy of the minutes, and I also did not know that the meeting was being held on November 9th until after the fact. So why didn't you share the date with the other commissioners? So if possible, they could have attended.
Because the meeting isn't run that way. So the meeting is run that there's one representative from each entity that does current programming, and the Arts Council selects who that representative is. There's allowed to be an alternative representative. So if for some reason the main representative cannot show up to these meetings, then the alternative would show up. The point of having representation at the table during these meetings is that that representative brings the information to the larger group, the Arts Charrette, from their entity of what the needs and desires and aspirations and hopes and dreams and everything for the art city is. I don't do the invites. The invites come from the Art Council. It is set up that way from the same time that Senator Alfrith set it up in order to be a functioning meeting amongst the people who are progressively moving us forward to a comprehensive plan of the art city.
Ellen Moyer started this commission, and she wanted to be included in the meeting. And Sarah Alfrith asked permission that she be allowed to attend, and she was blocked from attending. Ellen knows more about the arts in this city, and she started this commission. Why was she not allowed to attend? Please answer that.
So I don't think it's a slight against Ellen. I don't think it's anything about, trying to keep Ellen from the table. Again, I don't do the invites. Secondly,
You blocked her. You blocked
did
her
not-
from attending.
that is, okay, so we are not going to do personal attacks during this meeting, and I'm going to call to order, please. Misinformation is very nasty, and we're not going to do this. I did not block Ellen Moyer from attending a meeting. Ellen Moyer currently is not a chair or a lead of a current programming entity in Annapolis. However,
Yeah, she's
Her
only the former
excuse
mayor.
me, I'm sorry, call to order. I have the floor. She is amazing. She's wonderful. She's started this commission. Yes, she's a former mayor. She does have a viewpoint. She has many thoughts and aspirations for the city, and we all greatly respect her for that. Her daughter sits at the table because Lonnie is part of programming for the county. She is not without representation. Her thoughts are there with us. Her ideals and aspirations for the city are with us. Yes, she started this commission, and we will maintain this commission and move it forward to be something that Ellen can continue to be proud of and still represent the ideal and aspirations that she had for us to be an art city. That is absolutely nothing against the former mayor, Ellen Moyer. And I really do not want to do with the personal attacks about this. Secondly, she is more than welcome to send in any written ideas that she has, any verbal ideas that she has. She's welcome to sit here in front of us and present to us anything that she would like funding for, anything that she has ideas for with a proper proposal. She is welcome because she has amazing ideas and she has done very valuable things with the city. So I think moving forward, I would like us to stay on the positive aspect of this and the great things that these meetings are doing. And let's not downplay it with misinformation. I'm going to move on to the budget. I did not get a new budget report this month. As soon as I get it, I will send it out to everybody. So it still stands basically that the funding is what it was last time I sent out a budget report. There haven't been any checks pulled. I think, trying to think, invoices that I did submit besides the Future History Now mural check was pulled, and the Jaru mural, that check was paid. But I don't have anything else. Procurement hasn't pulled checks and paid on them. So the balance hasn't really gone down from what it was when I sent it out in September.
Genevieve,
Yes, Jim.
we have a couple proposals coming up later that are significant. One of them, at least, is very significant amount of money. So we'll need to have some feel for where we stand before we can really
Yep.
informatively vote on that,
So
i.e. the film festival.
exactly. So we still, when
I think the
we,
other thing is like $4,000.
well, the film festival is 35,000, but when we met last time and talked about the budget, and the month prior, we had set aside our funds, for a matching grant for the RFP to make sure that we had funds for the summer programming in 2023. We had roughly $50,000 left over to spend before July 1st. And that's liquid funds. That doesn't mean that we don't have other funds, because we do, but we voted to keep them separate for the upcoming events in 2023.
Okay.
Any other questions on the budget? Okay. Well, then we can move forward to new business. Julian, if Eric Evans is here, let's bring him forward to present, please.
He is indeed. Give me 2 seconds. Anything
Hi,
else?
everybody. Thank you guys for
Eric,
thank you
Hello.
guys for having me here today. Which proposal should I be doing first, Genevieve? Pumpkin to the chair.
yeah, do the pumpkins, sure.
All right. So the month of October, we did the Greater Annapolis Pumpkin event in Annapolis, where we went to Western Pennsylvania. We bought 6 giant pumpkins that went anywhere from 600 pounds to about 1,500 pounds. Placed them
Good.
throughout Annapolis. And then a few days before Halloween, I think we did it on the Thursday before Halloween, and Halloween was on a Monday. We hired 5 artists to carve the 6 pumpkins. And each one had a completely different theme and style. We allowed them to kind of, it was a free for all on how, whatever design they wanted. And then invited the public to come down and see the pumpkins. I'm not sure what the official count was, but there's probably over 1,000 social media posts of these pumpkins and people coming down with their families to check them out and walk all of downtown Annapolis to see the pumpkins. We had them at the Graduate Hotel on West Street, the Visitor Center, St. Anne's Church, Main Street, Market Space, and Maryland Avenue. We hired 3 artists. 3 of the artists were from Annapolis, and 2 of them were from the Washington, D.C. area that came down. It was a great thing for Annapolis. I think we had probably about 15 news stories, both print, blogs, and TV for coverage for this event. And I know on our website, we had over 15,000 people that went to the website for information on the pumpkins. So I think it's turned into a fun way for people to come down and be able to interact with art. Several of the artists hung out throughout the day once they carved their pumpkin, so they can meet everybody and see their the feedback from the public. So I think it was really a great event to showcase our local artists and using non-traditional canvas to do it. For the Christmas tree, the Downtown Annapolis Partnership, I think this year we spent about $28,000 decorating downtown Annapolis. And so what we're asking from you guys is for the cost of the Christmas ornaments. We hired a local artist, Commacell Brown Jr. Some of y'all know him as Spitfire, Spitfire, to design the ornaments this year. And he worked with 2 local groups of kids to help design and paint the ornaments. He worked with Maryland Hall's after school program, and he worked with Annapolis Maritime Museum's Box of Rain program. This past Sunday, we lit the tree. We had the artist and the kids come down for the tree lighting, and they got to meet a lot of our elected officials and probably a little over 100 people of the general public who showed up right as the rain stopped for the tree lighting ceremony. So it's our second year that we've hired local artists versus using commercial ornaments. And I think, again, it's a great way to showcase our local artists and to get kids involved. So last year we used Charles Lawrence, who worked with kids at Art Farm. And this year we used another local artist, and he worked with 2 other organizations. So I think it's a good way to get the public, just realize that not everything is a mural. And that everybody can have a part in our city, and everybody can be creative and be an artist.
Sounds good.
Do we have questions for Eric on their ask?
Yeah, I'm trying
How
to-
much, can you explain how much money you're requesting for the pumpkins and how much for the Christmas tree?
Genevieve, can you refresh my memory what the exact amount of our ask was? I think it was 4.
The pumpkins, your request is for $4,000?
So 4,000. We spent probably about 13,000. So we're just asking for the cost of the artist. We were able to raise the money for the other aspects of it. So we're just asking for our cash shortfall for that event. And then I think it was $2,000 for the Christmas tree, which is what our cost was for hiring the artist to work with the kids.
So that we can discuss this, I'll make a motion that we approve the funding for both of those activities. that would be $6,000.
I second.
I thought we were holding
I
our
thought-
vote till afterwards.
Yeah,
Yeah, we have to.
exactly.
Yeah, we don't have to vote yet. I mean, we
Right,
can talk
okay.
about
So
it.
the motion remains on the floor and we'll deal with it later when we
Okay.
do our voting. Well, thank you, Eric, so much for everything that you do for Annapolis. We do see you and we greatly appreciate you. And thank you for presenting tonight. And we will send you a notice of decision after we vote.
Thank you guys so much. It's great working with you guys as well.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Eric. Okay, Julian, we can bring Annapolis Film
welcome.
Festival.
Word now.
Wow, who are all these lovely ladies that got added to the picture?
I'll introduce everybody. Thank you all, first of all, for having us. We're happy to be presenting to Art in Public Places tonight. I'm Laura Richards. I'm the Executive Director of the Annapolis Film Festival. And presenting tonight will be Patty White and Lee Anderson, the directors of the Annapolis Film Festival.
Welcome, ladies. Thank you for joining us.
Hi,
Thank you.
everyone. I think we're just going to start by just reminding, because I'm sure you all know that the festival's been on the landscape here for 10 years. We're going into our 11th year. It was always a dream of ours to start this festival because as filmmakers, we've traveled around the country to a lot of film festivals. And, you know, we always knew that our city was the perfect place to have a film festival. It was, you know, the perfect destination. It had everything that you need to make a film festival successful. The only thing it didn't have were films and the structure around it. So we decided to make a go, to give it a shot and see what the community would be interested. And it took a couple of years to let everybody learn how to fest and what it is to be part of a film festival. And we feel like the community has just fallen in love with the film festival. And we're really excited about that because it's a huge amount of work to put one of these things on. And you need the entire industry, entertainment industry, to get to know your city, to be interested in what you're doing and want to make an effort. So we've spent a lot of years pushing that, making these deals to bring in the top filmmakers, actors, presenters, panelists, all kinds of things that can give. I mean, what a film festival really does is it informs, educates, entertains, and just evolves a community. It just makes a better community. And this has happened all over the country, wherever there's a film festival. So we're just so excited that Annapolis has opened, you know, embraced us and wanted it to continue. The issue that we have with this festival is that not only is it a heavy lift to put it on, it's also a heavy lift to raise the money to put it on, but worth every minute of it. And we've done a lot of creative things to be able to keep this thing going, and we continue to. And the support from the community has been great. Individual donors, some companies, and our Arts Council and the Maryland State Arts Council and all of that, and ticket sales and pass sales. But, you know, none of it is really enough to get this over the finish line, particularly because we offer certain things for free because we want to include all aspects of our community. When we started this festival, we said we don't want to be the festival just for the white people of Annapolis. We want to be inclusive and include all the communities of Annapolis. And we did that as our mission from the beginning. And to this day, it's probably the most important thing that we take into consideration every year. So I'm going to pass it on to Lee. She's going to take it to the next step.
First of all, thank you for having us tonight. I think one of the things that probably isn't as well known as it should be is that we have offered a lot of programs that are free to the public. We're probably better at marketing the festival in general than those opportunities, but we strive to improve that. We work through our outreach channels. We have multiple relationships across the community. We work with over 20 venues. So it's not your traditional art in public places because we're not permanent like some of the murals and things people see all year long. But we are now permanent on the local calendar, and we've exponentially grown almost so quickly. We're running to play catch up. So in year one, we had 2,600 people, and we're delighted that anybody came at all and didn't even know what a festival was all about. And the year prior to COVID, we had 14,000 people over 4 days. So that makes us the largest and most diverse arts event all year. And I think there's a little bit of a fallacy. People see so many people at the festival. I think they think that we're just rolling in the bucks, but the pass and ticket sales make up between 15 and 20% of our total revenue for the year. So, and we spend it on actually creating the festival. We have to set up artistic theaters to show the work. So we only have one theater in existence where we can actually play films, which is the Bowen Theater at Maryland Hall that is outfitted with a DCP projection system, which is like regular movie theaters, because all the films are encrypted now. So it's not as simple as it used to be to just get a digital file and play a movie. You can't really do that anymore. So it's a heavy lift. And, we've had a lot of challenges in coming back from COVID. I think we've ridden it pretty well, considering the climate that's out there in the film world. But the most important thing is that it's something very loved by the community, and it is truly a festival for everyone. And making it free to the public, we've offered lots of programs for kids, student passes. We work with all the African-American churches, the Hispanic community. We do a free to public student showcase for emerging filmmakers. We provide lots of free tickets and passes to different aspects of the festival, like the African-American experience. We always have the Jewish experience with bagels, lox, and coffee, environmental films, sailing films, military films. We sort of know what our community is looking for, but we want to expand it and not shrink the opportunity. We don't think there should be barriers to underserved people being able to enjoy the festival. So we'd like to not remove them. We'd like to enhance or continue them because we feel like it's an important part of our core values and who we really are. We kind of said we're going to set that intention, and we've stuck to it. So we just need help to be able to continue to do that. And that's why we turn to you for the first time to be able to explain all of these things. I'm happy to answer any questions anybody might have, or if you've seen hopefully you had a chance to see the presentation that we submitted. But I'd like
before you go any further, I also want to mention that we do have the Annapolis Film Society. We've expanded now, so we no longer are just 4 days of a film festival. We have the Film Society, which has films every monthly at the Bowen Theater, and we're going to be planning other programs under the Film Society as well. And some of those may become free to the public as well. We've actually had a free to the public event last year that was extremely successful. We brought in a big Hollywood movie. We opened it up to our underserved population, and we had a crowded room at the Bowen, and we had a food truck outside, which was all free. We provided that for kids and their families. And it was a big film before it opened, a big Warner Brothers film before it opened.
So we'd like to continue that. We've also had films on the front lawn at Maryland Hall. We'd like to continue to do some more outdoor fun things as well. So, we're always open. We always have lots of ideas. It's just being able to manifest those ideas. So obviously we need help, and we're not looking to you to be 100% of bearing the weight of that. We just need additional help to pull it off this year, really.
One of the things that's also exciting is that Patty and Lee, for the first time in the last 11 years, have some paid help. So
That
myself,
is very exciting.
exactly.
Yay.
So it's not a pipe dream that we're going to make some of these other programs real and permanent and sustained, because we're building the infrastructure to do that, and we've only been able to do that by increasing our outreach, looking for grants and sponsorships and other ways to grow this and make it something that's going to stay in Annapolis long term, forever and ever.
Yeah, we want it to be here long after we're here.
We're
We
just
want
two
this to be-
tired old ladies now, been doing this for a decade. So we're so
Exactly.
grateful to have Laura and some other help finally for the
Yeah.
first time.
So, any questions?
So overall, what is your whole budget that you spend for the film festival per year?
Our approved budget for cash right now is $601,000. Our in-kind budget is about $400,000. In-kind's been a little weird since COVID because we have a lot of friends of the festival, but they can't all give as much as maybe they could in the past. So the in-kind is kind of going down and the cash is kind of goes like this as you grow. But we're managing that, and we have been able to maintain some great relationships. But we're basically $1 million festival.
And that's what I was looking for. So your total overhead is around $1 million to do this in the city. Okay. Anybody else have questions? Go ahead,
Yeah, I
David.
do. Hi, ladies. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you joining us this evening. Just a quick question from what is your process of picking your films?
Okay, I'll take that one. We have first of all, we have a screening committee, which is a bunch of volunteers that we handpick in Annapolis that helps us know our community better. Even though we've lived here a long time and we feel we have the pulse, we want to be able to spread out to different aspects of the communities, different people, different kinds of people, ages, races, everything. So we have a screening committee, and they work through the fall and help our director of programming, and ourselves. Lee and I are also very involved heavily in programming, and I spearhead a lot of the deals with the distributors. And our director of programming, who's in California, he's worked at festivals, many festivals, from Sundance to what's it called? The one in Arkansas. Hot Springs Documentary Film Festival, Santa Fe. And he's great. He's expert with shorts programming. He's very well known for that. And he's great, helps us with our long feature and documentary programming as well. As filmmakers, Lee and I have a particular love for this, and we've made films and we've been going to film festivals for many years. And we have a big background in television and film. So, between us and Derek, our programming, our director of programming, we make the final decisions, but we get a lot of interesting outside consulting, and we also have as I said, our screening committee. So all in all, it comes together, and we collect we screen probably 70 some films, if you count the shorts as well. And most of them, except for maybe a few shorts or something that we're presenting for a reason, they're all brand new films, and most of them have never been seen by the public yet. So they're getting a first shot at it. The process to pick these films, we start in the summer, really, okay. And by mid-January to mid-February, somewhere in that time, we have to let Sundance is at the end of January. We get some films out of Sundance. So we're at that place where they will come to us now. So
that's cool. Awesome.
Yeah, very cool. And so, but we have to complete that. So, we'd like to get our films by mid-February, but sometimes our biggest films don't come in till early March. Right. So we're scrambling, and it's not easy, but we have to save places, and we have to figure out and we have to block all the films. It's a puzzle. Then we have to do the whole blocking chart, like what's playing where at which venue. We have 5 venues, and when is it playing? I mean, it's the most complicated thing. It's really complicated. So
there's actually a science and an art to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Festivals usually are.
And to answer your question a little further, David, we always assure that at least 2 people watch every film that's submitted. And right now we're hovering around 450 submissions a year. We hope that grows, but they're all watched. And then because people pay fees to, small fees, but still we have to promise that somebody's actually going to watch the entire film. So the screening committee does a lot of that. And
Well, we
all in
also,
all, we end up with 70 plus films.
Cool.
About 40 are shorts and the rest are split between narrative and doc features. So, and we try to bring in somewhere between 70 and 100 industry guests, because part of the festival is really the engagement with the artists and being able to say, my God, where'd you get this crazy idea? Or how did you get access to this? And be able to have that Q&A exchange where people can really understand why they did what they did, how they did what they did. And they love hearing also some of the behind the scenes stories about how it came to be.
we also have panels. Our panels are really popular. We're making those free to students this year. If you're a student, you're going to be able to get into our panels, and they are, they're all industry panels, most of them. And we do everything from screenwriting to editing to production design and there's so many people interested in this field.
Marketing,
So many people
distribution.
interested in aspects of it.
That's a perfect segue to my next question, unless somebody else had another question.
No.
Sure.
So I'm looking at your presentation. I'm looking at your free programs. Is the discount price passes and tickets, industry panels, coffee talks, and the shorts challenge. Encompasses your free activities?
And we have something also called Education Day, which is really
Big.
huge. We have a partnership with Anne Arundel County Public Schools. It's like a film field trip, and they bus in over 700 kids from surrounding high schools. And then we put together a special film and always have guests to engage, whether it's the director or the actual subject of the film, that the kids can engage in a learning experience.
So we
that's-
cover the tickets. We cover all 750 tickets for these kids. The only thing the school system pays for is the buses to bus the
Okay.
kids in. So that's the partnership we make with them, but we have to cover all the other expenses. The
we bring
expenses
in
of the artists
filmmakers
coming
and-
in, all
yeah.
the tickets, everything else.
Excellent. Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm done. No more questions from me.
No, keep asking. We love it. We want.
But you'll be interested to know this year we had the film King Richard, and we had the sister of Venus and Serena there who
cool.
did the Q&A because she was one of the producers on the film. And these kids went crazy, asking questions, jumping up. I mean, it was such an exciting thing. And then Dr. McMahon called me the next day from the school system and said, nobody stopped talking about it. The teachers, the kids, they were just so excited, not just about the film, but the whole interaction of what it meant to be part of that. And we've done this for 10 years. We've given the kids something every year. Yep. Sometimes it's more serious, and sometimes it's a documentary. Sometimes it's a narrative. Depends on what we can get our hands on, but we always come up with something that that many kids can come together, and
We've had all kinds of films for the kids. And we also, we work closely like with Asbury United Methodist Church as a venue. Right. So we give a lot of tickets to them, and they go to our African American experience and other big films. And we're actually expanding our African American experience this year to include a series of short films as well.
We're working on something that it's going to be separate sort of from the African American experience, but under that umbrella. So there'll be short Black stories, is what it's going to be. Films that are, just that. And we're going to have, panels about it. And so it's just, the thing is that even though we're a small town and it's only a couple of days, we have to expand and grow to make people want to share new things. I mean, that's what a film festival is all about, is to excite you and interest you in things. And we just can't keep doing the same thing over and over again, without some change and growth.
Now you didn't even think of one more question too. And then it's the last one, I promise.
And in terms of programming,
I couldn't hear you. What?
Okay, now my question is, of your films, what percentages of your films address like the minority population, Hispanic, LGBTQ, African American? What percentage of your films are gated towards that particular demographic?
I don't know a percentage offhand, but we always have a large portion of LGBTQIA plus films. we have a diversity series, which also covers handicapped people and all kinds of other areas that we fit. And we always have some Hispanic films, some, we just try to really cover the whole gambit. That's why it's so careful when we program, we have different films that represent a lot of different things. So each year we have showcases, spotlight films. So we have themed areas that will always have films. The films change each year. So there's always Hispanic films. There's always, for example, military films. There's always LGBTQ films and Jewish films and world cinema and, sailing films. We always have a big sailing
As
film.
far as
from
the
Visit Annapolis.
percentages, I mean, Lee, as far as the percentages of we've never really been able to gauge that. However, we do have some data on the African American audience. It has grown.
That's true.
It's grown a lot over the years.
Actually, all of
because
our
they know we program for this, so it's something that and the great part is it's our audiences are blended. It's one of the few things in this town that is consistently mixed audiences. You find that all the way across the board in the film festival.
Awesome.
And our parties as well. It's we love it because it's everybody, all ages, races, they all go together.
Awesome.
I
Thank you
would
very
say,
much, ladies.
I would say too, we're focusing a lot on the festival because obviously that is our big focus of the year. But as Patty pointed out in her intro, we now have 12 focuses, 12 additional monthly focuses with our Annapolis Film Society. So for example, tomorrow evening we'll be screening a veteran documentary about a veteran. It's an amazing documentary about a young vet from Afghanistan who comes back and actually ends up going into the rainforest and how he starts rescuing animals and in so doing rescues himself. And it's a beautiful film, but it's another example of how we represent communities that need representation and have voices heard that wouldn't otherwise be heard, so that our community can understand the perspective of someone else. And it really brings people together and unites them. So I'm, I think Patty and Lee are so used to talking about the festival after 11 years and so passionate about it. So I'm the little advocate for, and we have the Film Society too, and it's year round and it's great. And
it takes a lot of work too.
It takes
We gotta
a
get
ton of
films all
work.
year round.
It takes a ton of work. And how many events, Lee, are in the film festival? You once told me how many discrete events make up the festival.
77 different events. It's like, it could be a party, it could be a panel. It could be I don't know if you know what coffee talks are. It's the best kept secret of the whole festival. It's each morning, 9 to 10 a.m. It's like inside baseball for the industry. And we bring in unannounced guests each morning and it's hosted and you get free breakfast. And you learn about, we theme it. We theme it and the theme's announced each day. So it might be all the people from opening night's film. It could be something on acting. It could be all the doc filmmakers. It could be, shorts people. It could, we come up with different ideas. One morning we had 2 Academy Award nominated people sitting at coffee talks, which was really cool. So that's always fun. And
also the shorts challenge, which is our pitch competition. And we have judges on the stage and we bring in emerging filmmakers from around the country. They have to be in this country because we can't bring them in from all over the world, but we bring them five people that sent their pitches in and they get selected. We pick the 5 out and we bring them in. Some of them are from Maryland. We've had kids local. We've had them from USC and a lot of other film schools. We've had them that are already working in the industry, but they haven't gotten there yet. And so they're kind of sort of more emerging. And those people get up and they do a 6, 7, 8 minute pitch in front of with visuals, audio visual, and they pitch their story and judges judge, and then they go off to their deciding, to their little group to decide, and we announce the winner of the shorts challenge that evening at our Saturday bash. And with it comes a whole production and post-production package that they can take out and make their short film with.
Excellent.
We work with the Maryland Film Office and several local providers that are in the film industry that do other big things like The Wire, We Own the City, and they provide camera, package, lighting, sound, post-production video. So it's worth about $30,000 to that filmmaker that's trying to make that short. And then it premieres the next year at the festival. So if you were in the audience, you heard the pitch, you get to see the film the next year.
Cool. Awesome.
So you can see there's a lot going on at the
A lot of moving parts.
at the festival and at the Film Society. Did
Yes.
anybody have any other questions?
I
Yeah.
don't
So,
see
I
how,
just-
I don't see
go
how
ahead.
we're going to get a word in edgewise.
Sorry about that. We're passionate
okay.
about it. What can we say?
We greatly appreciate all the
Myra.
information. I just want to make sure, Jim, did you have a question or were you just?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
You talked about a $2 million, generally speaking, budget. And you're asking us for $35,000.
$1 million.
My question first is to Genevieve. Do we give to groups that charge admission? Did we ever have a barrier to that?
So, we did have a discussion about this. The 35,000 for this grant that they're asking goes towards the free public
Okay. I thought so.
educational events only. It is in their presentation. It outlines what their costs are. So for when they bus in the high schoolers or when they have the free public viewings to come in, this is what we would be supporting. Not supporting the ticketed side of the film festival, but for
Okay,
the open.
I got that.
parts.
My other question is, you're asking for 35,000. What is the amount of money that we will have left in our spending budget for artists and whatever we choose after we give them this rather substantial amount of money? If
There
we
would
give
be,
it,
right. So the way our budget works now is that it's kind of a liquid fund. And as the tax revenue comes in from the hotel tax, it's added to our fund. So it's always kind of changing. But when we did the appropriations and set aside money for the RFP for the Westgate Circle and the money for our programming next summer, it left us with 50,000 to spend. We haven't spent any of that yet. So currently what we're looking at tonight, as far as our budget, is $50,000. And that
so that would
coming
mean
from-
that we would then have $1,500. Is my math working?
15,000.
15,000.
$15,000 left for the remainder of until June. Is that correct?
July 1st.
July 1st.
Now,
Well,
as of now, but like I said, the funds are lucrative and I'm not one for spending future or projected funds.
no, that's okay. I
Yeah.
got it. I
Yeah.
got that. I just wanted to have a general idea of where we were going with this.
I just want to say my husband and I volunteered for many years at the film festival and we always enjoyed it. And I just want to tell my fellow commissioners to go ahead and volunteer. It's a lot of fun and it's you get to see some interesting films.
Thank you. That's great. We appreciate you volunteering. We love our volunteers. They keep us going.
And we're all volunteers here, so we understand that too. So any other questions for the ladies? Okay, well, thank you again so much for coming and presenting and the opportunity to partner with you. And we appreciate your time tonight. And we will send you a notice of decision after our vote.
Thank you
Thank
very much. Thanks for having us.
We really
Thank you.
appreciate you guys. and
Thank
everything
you.
do. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, so first up on the table is the motion that Jim made to support the Downtown Annapolis Partnership. It was 4,000 for the pumpkins and to pay the artists for carving is what it was for. And then the 2,000 for the Christmas holiday decorations to pay the artisans for making those decorations.
I second the motion.
Thank you, Cynthia. let's do a roll call, please, Joe.
Sure.
So the motion on the floor is for $6,000 to Downtown Annapolis Partnership.
Right.
So we know. Okay.
Jim,
Oh, wait, David, did you have?
I don't know. Can we discuss anything, or we just? I mean, because
Oh.
I just have some questions, but I know.
Yeah. Do I have
Okay,
a
we'll vote
motion?
now.
Wait,
I'll
wait,
question
wait. Do
later.
I have a motion? You would make a
No,
motion. to
David, I
table
think
the
it's
motion.
appropriate to ask questions. Go ahead. I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I just want to know before we
Okay.
start, having some kind of discussion about what's going on. Because I agree with, I like what they've done. I've seen the pumpkins. I they're awesome. My concern is just funding things that already happened. It's kind of just gives me a little bit of, and Eric's known about us. It's not like Eric doesn't know who we are. That's just a concern of mine that, and I've seen the punk. I think they're cool. And also would like to have seen some of these Christmas decorations that were made. At least there's some, something, a picture, a rendition of something that would have been really appropriate to see what we're paying for. Without having to, obviously you can go downtown and look at them, but I don't know which ones we did and which ones are, not done by Common Cell. So just my concern there is we're paying for stuff we haven't seen and stuff has already been done. So that's just a concern of mine. I just wanted to throw that out there on the floor.
I hear you, David. Thank you.
To that
Krista?
point.
The reason
point,
for that,
David,
David,
Hold
there's
on,
a
Jim.
reason.
Hold
on, Jim.
hold on, Jim.
Let Krista go.
To that point that David just made, my question is, did they try to submit sooner and miss the cutoff of, our meeting and that sort of thing? Did they make an attempt to try to reach out ahead of time? Does anyone know?
They
So
submitted their proposal to the website address that they were supposed to send it to. And someone at Recreation and Parks did not get it to the appropriate people on our board that would then pass it on to the rest of us. And in conversation about that problem, I believe Genevieve thought that it would be best to just vote on it at this meeting, even though it is retroactive. They did make a good faith effort to submit that.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, so Eric did send them to the email address that's on the website prior to, like, the week prior to our meeting in October, but
Okay.
we didn't get those. And Eric reached out to me the day of and said, I don't see us on the agenda. And I said, I didn't get your applications. And so then he forwarded the emails that he had sent to the AIPPC at Annapolis.gov. So it's an oversight. And I agreed to put him on
Okay.
this
All right.
meeting. So
Fair enough.
Yep, that's what I thought. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
Thanks, Kristen. All right.
okay. Jim, were you just wanted to comment on that, or I see her?
No, I mean, you covered it. You explained it
Okay.
very well.
Okay.
If
Barbara?
David has a question, I'm not Eric, but I'll be glad to.
Okay. No, we're cool. We're good.
Barbara, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Genevieve. I just want to know, can Eric send us the pictures of the Christmas ornaments?
Yes, I already asked him to do that actually about a half hour before the meeting. And he will email them to each of the board members. And that is on me because I didn't give him the list of emails for everybody. So I'll pass that on to him.
Got you.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
This is Krista. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
I wanted to let you know that if you do go to some of the city sites, there were some photographs that were made of the ornaments. So, I'm tuned into that. I did see some of them, and we can do that.
Yep.
We can go online and look at them as well, if you can do that from where you are.
Yeah, the illumination event was publicized on social media, so you can see it on the city site. Has pictures. I think Commissel posted some pictures. I know our D30 delegation posted pictures in front of the tree too. So there are some out there. It was, kind of a naval and Annapolitan theme for the decorations. And then Commissel worked with a children's group in order to do the ornaments.
Got you. Cool. Take it away, Joe.
Yeah, the virtue of doing this was that it involved local artists, and it was involving the public in that they watched the art being created in many cases, or a lot of children were mentored in creating the decorations.
Cool.
All right,
Okay,
are we
so,
ready
yeah.
to go?
Yeah, so as
Okay.
it stands, we have a motion from Jim, seconded by Cynthia, to support the $6,000 ask from
For
downtown Annapolis. Yeah,
$6,000.
Yeah.
All right, Jim,
Aye.
Barbara,
Aye.
Krissa,
Yes, aye.
Cynthia,
I,
Genevieve,
Aye.
Joe, I, David,
Aye.
motion passes.
Thank you, everyone. Okay,
Thank you.
on to the other presentation for tonight was the Annapolis Film Festival. The $35,000 grant ask is in support of their free public events that they host for the community, in addition to having the educational series with the high school, local high school.
I
Is there a
forgot
motion
to-
on the floor?
I forgot to, I'll make the motion that we give them the 35,000, but there's a condition. I would like to make sure that we are acknowledged on all of their promotions as being a sponsor.
So that was offered, that our logo would be on all of the prints and stuff. And that's why we're having the meeting now, so we
Okay.
can meet the printing deadlines.
Sweet. Okay, I'm all for it. It's good for the
Any
city.
further discussion before we make a motion?
So that would leave us with $15,000 basically. The last is for the-
No, it would be around 9, because we just gave 6 to Eric.
Right.
So
Oh, and that's a
Barbara?
question.
Yeah,
I'm
I
sorry.
just had
A
I
lot
just
of
had a
money. I
thought.
don't know if anybody wants to quibble about it. I mean, now's the
That's
time.
a lot
to
of
quibble.
money. I'm just, I think it's awesome what they're doing. I've been, and it's cool, and it's great that they're doing, but it's a lot of cake, and it kind of puts a serious dent in our budget to.
Right.
I'd like to hear what Barbara has to say,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
I'll
let
have a
Barbara
comment.
speak.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate that. No, I agree. 35K. It's a lot of money, and I understand about us needing more because we don't know what's ahead and what else could come up that we could possibly support. So I do agree that we should fund them, but I think 35K the whole is a little much. And for what we're going to give them, I think maybe there's something that we can work out in terms of like their films on the front lawn instead of just being on Maryland Hall. If we could work with them to maybe have the films in the summertime in different wards, like outside, if that could be something we could do in terms of, kind of like the sweeten the pot for the money. If you guys think that's something appropriate.
Good idea.
Yeah, to introduce future partnerships moving forward, and we could definitely do something like that if we chose to fund them now in this fiscal year budget, which is our fiscal year 2023. We could definitely entertain some other future grant funding beginning, July 1st for our fiscal year 2024 that would carry into the summer or fall with other programming.
Great.
This is Krista. David and Barbara, do
Yeah.
you have an amount that you think would be appropriate? Would you consider doing a quarter or half of the funding now and then considering more funding in the new year? What are your thoughts on that? What would the amount be that you would suggest?
Barbara, I
Yes.
like your idea of, films throughout the wards and really sharing the wealth to say, but I make a motion to lower the cost to 5,000 to be given to the film festival.
I was thinking more like 20K.
I'm gonna throw it in the middle. I was
You were
thinking,
thinking about
I
how
was-
much, Barbara?
20K.
I was thinking 15, be totally, I like half.
I will say I was
I was
thinking
thinking
10.
half. Yeah.
I was thinking 10.
I was
I
thinking
appreciate
10.
that. I appreciate that
Okay, go ahead.
they broke down all of the expenses for free events and then asked us for half. So I really do appreciate all of that due diligence on their part. I was thinking 10 because we have funded at 10,000 2 citywide events. That's kind of one of the places that we pegged our level of support. So somehow, I mean, we're all kind of having a different number in our head, but just thinking about Day of the Dead and Kunta Kinte, we funded each of those at 10,000.
It's a good point. I appreciate that point. I'd like to ask the chair what the chair's thoughts are on this.
Well, it is a very valid point. However, buying the rights to movies is not really kind of equivalent to hosting, Day of the Dead festival, because they're not buying the rights, and it is very expensive. And I understand where the ask is coming from. I know that, they are not inflating. In fact, I think they're probably being modest on their $1 million budget. I'm sure at the end of the day, they really know how much they are spending after it's all done and happens. It's normally how we are with festivals. For anybody who has worked on a festival, you project a budget and you try to stay within that, but normally you're always over budget by the end of the festival. And a lot of times it's not an even slate. So I'm up for whatever the commission feels that, we can appropriate now, and willing to, send them with the notice of decision that we're willing to work with them in the future with future projects and doing other things on the lawn for free for everybody. That would be great too.
I, for one, am reluctant to spend 35, but I think the festival is a unique event, or a series of events, and it is very inclusive of most Annapolitans community, most of our Annapolis communities, and it brings a lot of attention from the outside world to the city of Annapolis, and it's very beneficial to our arts reputation to have that event in Annapolis. I'm trying to figure out where the numbers should fall. I think 10,000 is probably too little. I think 35 may be more than we want to spend. But I would encourage you to keep that in mind, that this involves young people, it involves different communities in the city. It involves bringing people from around the country who are involved in film production to Annapolis. That can't hurt our city in the long term. I just think this is a very unique event. The other events are much, much, much smaller by comparison. And, so we're, on a scale of things, their crowds are significantly smaller. So, I'm trying to keep that in mind. They're also involving artists, people who produce film. And that is something we should always look for. If the program is actually bringing creative artists into our city, that's what we should be looking for. A lot of these arts festivals and things like that, they have craftsmen and crafters, and they have artists and whatever, no doubt. But the level of art is substantially different. So I think 35 is closer to reality, but of what they need. But it's probably not what we would like to spend. I would think that I'm thinking more in terms of about 25, and it's like, let's make a deal. I don't really want to bargain about this. I'm willing to work with anybody or any amount you come up with, but I want you to keep all of that in mind. This is the biggest thing that we're going to do in the course of a year, other than that traffic circle. And believe me, a lot of people are going to know about this film festival. Not a lot of people are going to know about that circle for a long time.
Okay. David and then
Genevieve,
Barbara. Hold on, Krista,
Okay.
David and
Yep,
Barbara had their hands
ahead.
up. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yep.
I just want to kind of to Jim's point. I mean, I don't think anybody here is sort of diminishing the impact of having a film
No,
festival.
I'm not suggesting that.
And then,
I'm just
obviously, if
saying-
we had it, I would give them $50,000 if we had it, but we don't. And I just, in order to be good financial stewards and think about, obviously we're spending taxpayers' money. It's not our money, so we can just, and I think
It's actually tourists' money. Really.
tourists, well, still not. It's not coming out of our pocket.
Not taxpayers. It's just people who visit Annapolis pay for what we're spending. So just keep that in mind.
Absolutely correct. But I mean, so that for me, that's, I mean, and I thought about that too. And I'm looking at that brochure, and I know people have been involved in the film festival. I remember when the first one first started. I've actually been to it, and I know it's a lot of effort to kind of get, pay for this money, to pay for the rights to these films and have places to do it and organize. And that's not lost on me. But again, I have to think about at some point in time, we're going to want to do something else that's going to come up that's really cool too. It may not be as big as a film festival, but maybe it's extremely cool, and it does exactly some of the same thing the film festival does, just maybe on a smaller scale. But we may not be able to support that because we have $5 left. So I agree, $35,000 is way too much for me. I'll make a motion for 20. That's sort of my number in my head.
Okay, I'm going to pause that for a moment to hear from Barbara first because
Go
she had
for
her
it.
hands up, and then
Yes. Yeah,
And then
thank,
Joe.
yeah, thank you, Jen. Yeah, David, I agree.
And
I
Krista,
proposed
I'm
20.
after Barbara.
We got you, Krista. Krista
Okay.
can't see the screen.
Can I,
You
can
can't
I,
see her hands up. Yeah, get your computer, Krista.
okay, David, I
I'm still
agree
in my
about the,
car. Give me a break.
all right, can I talk?
Go for it, Barbara.
Oh,
Okay, I proposed 20 earlier, like David said, and I think we can break it down and say, look, well, we can give 15K now to show our support, and then, 5K later on in our new budget to help with the summer possible lawn, screenings in different parts of Annapolis. I think that would be a way to kind of start this relationship with them and see how it goes, and still leave us enough money for the rest of the year.
okay. Krista?
Barbara, you're reading my mind because I was going to say 12 to 15 for now and then revisit this later. The other question I had was, have we ever pledged money and then also asked for maybe a donor to match it, like do some sort of marketing promotion to help them solicit more money and see if we could do some sort of a match, or is that legally not something we do?
no, we shouldn't do that. I don't-
That would
Okay.
be, yeah, that would be on the film festival
Okay.
board's side to do. However, this is the first year that we've had the ability to do the partnership with the film festival. So
Okay.
that hasn't been something that we've talked about before. So.
Well, to that suggestion that Barbara had, I was going to say 12 or 15, and I would vote yes for 12 or 15 for now, and then revisit it later. I like that idea.
Okay. Cynthia has her hand up.
This is their 11th year, correct? And they've been doing very well for 11 years, getting bigger and bigger each year with corporate sponsors. So they have flourished without money from the commission. So I would say that people can volunteer and do other things to help the festival, but that our money is better served to go to causes that are in more need of our money. I think they have a lot of corporate sponsors. I don't think their need is as great as some grassroots homegrown groups. Just my feedback.
Valid point.
Thank you,
I see
Cynthia.
that point.
Joe? Joe's hand is up.
Thank you. I have a couple of comments, or I have a question and then a totally bureaucratic comment. The question is, I also sort of like this idea of sort of a split commitment, but somehow isn't that going to run into the problem of we can only give them money once every fiscal year? So what if we split it up now, then we're like locking in something for actually quite a long time, unless I'm misunderstanding something.
So how I would suggest, if that's what we decide to do, how we would set the proposal up is that we give 15 now, and then we ask them to come back and present in the new fiscal year for the other, whatever they need. I wouldn't give them a guarantee for fiscal year
Okay.
2024. I
Okay.
would just say currently in fiscal year 2023, we're
Yep,
willing to give
makes
you
no
X
sense.
amount,
All right,
whatever
I'm
that is. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That's very
Yeah.
clarifying. I just want to make sure I've got the logistics of that right. So here's my bureaucratic comment. We currently already have two motions on the floor for specific numbers. So we actually need to work through those and before we can move forward. So
Exactly. Yep.
okay.
So-
Well, I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay.
I like
Okay.
what Genevieve had to say, and I would support her attempt at a motion. I mean, you have to make a motion, Genevieve.
So,
Yes,
so
I
the first
would have
so-
to, but there was another one. There was
Yeah,
another one.
Cynthia's motion is Cynthia's motion is also on the floor for $5,000, and unless there's a second, then
Right,
that
right.
motion will
Right.
fail.
So Jim withdrew his motion. So we're at Cynthia's motion for 5,000. Do we have a second? Okay, motion fails then. So, any other motions to come to the floor?
Like to make a
This is
motion for
Krista. I make a motion for 15,000.
Barbara?
that. I feel
Okay. So there's a motion on the floor for 15,000 and it was seconded by Barbara. May I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Oops. I thought I was muted. Hold on. Yes. Barbara,
aye.
Krissa,
Aye.
Cynthia,
Aye.
Genevieve,
Aye.
Joe, I, David,
Aye.
and Jim.
Oh, it's unanimous again. I'm aye.
Great. Motion passes unanimous.
Fabulous.
Genevieve,
Wonderful.
do we need to make a motion to make sure that we get included in their promotional materials? Or is that already understood? Did you
It
say
was
in
already part of the presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was already part of the presentation.
So
So,
given
yeah,
them 35, we could demand a
Because I
lot
think-
more than just promotional information. We could get tickets.
Well,
We
I think we're
can't do
good.
that now.
What
No,
I-
that's okay. No, I know we can't.
Because
get
I do think that at 15,000, even though we're not giving them the full 35, I think that it would be good for our commission and for the city to have that visibility on their promotional materials.
and I will talk with all
We
three of them.
don't need a motion for that, right?
We don't need a motion for that.
Okay.
No, because that was offered and
Okay,
I'm
great.
sure that for the free public events that we are supporting with this 15,000, that they'll definitely make sure that it is known that we are working in partnership with them to support these programs. So,
And yeah, and then just add to them that we are open for them to represent to us again next year.
exactly.
I don't know if that needed to be
Yes.
included in that, but yeah, okay. I didn't know if it needed to officially, be included in the motion or not, so.
No, I think we will just put that in the notice of decision. So, as everybody is welcome to present in the next fiscal year after we've given them a grant in the current fiscal year. So we're good. Okay, this leads us to open discussion.
I'd like to remind folks that the Annapolis Chocolate Festival is going to happen on December 4th, I believe. That's Sunday. I hope I get the dates right. I always get this wrong. It's the first Sunday in December and on West Street in the first block. And I think they're going to be down in the park also. And it is a ticket event. And so I encourage you to go online and order your tickets. And it should be a pretty big event. they have a lot of entertainment and other things scheduled. There is also a really excellent exhibition at Banneker Douglas, and they open at 10 in the morning. I think it's 10 in the morning. They're open till like 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and they're not open on Monday. But if you get a chance, it's worth seeing. And I think people would enjoy this artist. She's a local person and she's made it good. So it would be good to see this person. Her name is Theron, I believe.
Yeah, so there's multiple artists down at Banneker Douglas, and it's definitely, they had their art opening the other evening, so please stop by. The Chocolate Binge Festival, the tickets are $5, and it is December 4th, like Jim said. So make sure you check into that. There's a ton of stuff happening. The city just put out a press release today about all the activities for the next month and a half that's coming up. So make sure you check. Yeah, it's very, like, we are just so jam-packed during these months. A couple of things that are kind of art related are the Eastport Yacht Club Lights Parade. That actually got some national recognition and was in the running for one of the top Christmas events in the nation. So that is very cool to check out, in addition to the Chocolate Binge Festival that has all the artisans. So thank you, Jim, for mentioning that. Anybody else with open? Oh, and then the West Annapolis Holiday Market too. That will also have local featured artisans and music. So I think, Brian.
I was just going to say, along with the Lights Parade this year, Eric Evans and DAP are helping to do a holiday market there as well that weekend. So try to stop by there.
Is that at City Dock?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. And we've been having meetings to plan for the uprigging and for the Songwriter Festival again next year. So things are looking good for those.
Did I hear the Clydesdales were going to be?
Yeah, I heard that too.
That's West Annapolis, isn't it?
No, I understand they're coming downtown.
I did hear that.
What do you remember, David? I don't remember where they were.
No,
talking
my
about.
sister-in-law told me about it. Matter of fact, over Thanksgiving break, that they're supposed to be coming through downtown sometime in the next couple of weeks, but she didn't give me any firm dates, so don't quote me on anything.
Okay.
This is Krista. I just want to give some kudos out to the HERE pop-up that's on the circle, church circle, and all the local artisans that are featured in that pop-up. It was really great, and people were really enjoying it. I was there this weekend, and I also popped into some other galleries as well, and just would encourage everybody to do that this holiday.
I have to put a tie on. Right,
good.
Brian?
You don't have to wear a tie to get into a gallery, Jim.
All good. Anything else for open discussion? Any other news and thoughts? I will mention that it is 3 hours free parking downtown Annapolis on the street. So there's no excuses why you can't go downtown and be part of all the artisan galleries and the markets that are happening.
And Genevieve and I
this
can
is Chris again. I just want.
What's that? Yes, and Jim and I could walk down. We all could walk, actually, or you could get a bird or a bird bike or a scooter. So anyway, I'm sorry, Krista, go ahead.
That's okay. I just wanted to encourage everyone that, through the holidays, if they do see some art popping up that they don't expect to see, or an event or something like that, to send a note to the Art in Public Places page, behind the scenes, or to one of us, so that we can get it up on our page if it's something to support the local artists. This is a really key time to do something like that. And I also wanted to let you all know that I am going around the circle right now as I'm chatting with you, and the lights look beautiful on the trees at the circle.
Are they up?
So
Oh, I
just
saw
wanna
the
give a little
trees. I didn't see
shout
it
out.
lit up yet. I was
Yeah,
wondering
they're
if
lit
Yes, and the
up.
decorations are on there, David, so,
the one downtown, Westgate
Yeah.
Circle or?
No,
yes,
this is-
yeah, West, no,
This is the one at the Westgate Circle.
oh, yes,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, the trees
I
up
meant
on
the
Westgate
downtown.
Circle that I was wondering
Yeah.
if they could light them up, because I think they're all solar powered, but they
Yeah,
were, it was daytime, so I was
Yeah.
wondering if they could still lit up. Cool, all right, I'll do that.
Crystal, we need a
I'd love to see
video.
them a little. I'd love to see them a little brighter too, David. But they do look lovely, and I think this was the first year that we've done something like that. So I
Yep.
think this is, on a positive note, this is a great start, and it's just a nice way to anchor our, West Street arts and both, uptown to the circle and then to downtown. So this is something that we've been trying to do for a long time, and kudos to everybody who has tried to make this happen to where we have the full line of the festivities and the celebration of lights for the holidays.
Cool.
anything else, anyone?
So our next meeting will be in December.
Uh-huh, last
And-
Tuesday of the month.
It's like the 29th or something. Does that sound right?
It is the 27th.
27th, okay. I hope I'm back by then.
Well, that's the beauty of Zoom, Jim. No matter where you are, you can video in.
You can come with your car, your phone, your.
Not gonna
iPad.
happen. If I'm out of town, I ain't gonna come back in town. Not
You
on
don't
a
have to
Zoom
come
or
in
any
town, you just need
other
an
way.
internet connection, man.
Make us all jealous. Show us you're at the beach, in a hammock with a, pina colada, whatever,
You got a mobile device and the
Hey,
and the
if
internet.
I can do it, if I can do it tonight, you can do it tonight.
It's all good. You can have,
Crystal, you're an inspiration, truly. I'll have to behave and do it. Okay.
okay. Do we have a, if we're done, are we done with open discussion?
I guess.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we conclude our meeting.
I
I
second
will
it.
second.
Second. Thank
Let's do
you,
some Christmas
everyone. I think
lights.
all of us are in favor. Say aye.
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 All right.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank
Good
you.
night, everyone.
Merry Christmas,
Thank-
everybody.
Good night.
Probably
Bye,
see you
Happy
till after
holidays in
Christmas.
December. Yes.